banks that won't lend you money and things of that nature. There's still, in some housing contracts, you have in the writing of the contract, black people are not allowed to live in this area. To this day, 2020, some of those contracts read that way. And you will buy a house in that community and they can use eminent domain and take your house from you. To this day, that dude who's sitting there, that attorney, he ain't tell you that though, did he? So when you get all this information about how violent your community is, how violent your friends are, but all you have to do is this. Next time you hear the statistic, black on black crime, just think of, write down 100 random people that you know in your life. I guarantee you 95 of them got jobs and working. I guarantee you, at a minimum, 95. If you just think of think of 20 people you know, just write down 20 names of people you know, all of those people work. And I can guarantee you, if you think of 20 hoodlums in your life, you can't. Oh man, he used to, or he has done before. Right now, current stick-up men, robbers, dope dealers, you probably can't. And if you can, I guarantee you on the other end, you know 20 of them, you know 2,000 other people who get their behinds up and work and bust their behinds every single day. But you still buy into the narrative that black people hurt each other too much, black people do this, black people do that, black people do that. And that same woke dude who tell you that, will tell you support him though. That same woke dude that'll tell you that, tell you, oh man, brothers don't support each other. We need to stop hurting each other. Don't trust the media. Where you get that from? I saw it on TV last night. Again, this is why I mentioned Ben Davis and Jefferson Davis and Abraham Lincoln Hall, because they put the honest to God truth right up under your nose. You look at it and don't even go, hey, this is not right. You just take their word for it. And we're going to have to stop doing that, because you're only hurting yourself. You're only hurting yourself and people who look just like you. And if you don't believe me, just keep believing them. Keep believing them. Stop believing them. Take a look around your community. How many criminals, how many provocateurs are in your neighborhood? It's not many. I live in one of the most dangerous neighborhoods in the United States of America, according to the media. Even though I lived in two separate projects, housing projects in the United States of America, most of the people in those housing projects got their behinds up and got up and went to work every day. Hell, actually 3, because Town and Garden was a damn project. But most of the people who lived on Cedric Street got up and went to work every day. Most of the people who lived in Cabrini Green down the street from my house got up and went to work every day. Most people who lived in the Apple homes got up and went to work every day. Most of them. And I'm not no 50-50. Most people get up and go to work. Period. So when you hear all this, oh man, yeah, because all you hear is violence, 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 violence. You keep hearing something and you're going to think it's true. Just like you hear things like, you know what else you heard? Abraham Lincoln saved you. No, you didn't. I said this 1,000 times on this show. Abraham Lincoln did not free the slaves. The Emancipation Proclamation freed people who were enslaved in the South. It is literally like Donald Trump freeing people in Mexico. Hey, y'all know y'all have to go to work Monday, and all the dudes in Mexico they're supposed to get up and go to work don't go to work, and they all get fired. What Trump said there, and he ain't got no juice down here. Because people in New Jersey, they still had people enslaved. People in New York, they still have people enslaved. So Abraham Lincoln was not a friend of the black man, because if he was, it would have took him 2 years after the Emancipation Proclamation to allow them to have guns so they could win the war for him. Because 6 months after he let them have guns, they won the war because they were losing. 6 months later, they won. You ain't do me no favors, man. George Washington never told a lie. You know what else he didn't do? He didn't have wooden teeth, because those were teeth out of folks' head who were African, who he snatched out of their head. Living folks, he took their teeth out their head and had his own dentures made. So I guess he ain't your friend no more either. Thomas Jefferson. It's just, if you open up one of them books or stop believing what you hear, you'll realize, nah. This isn't what they told me it was. It's a bunch of lies and BS, man. That's why I put something about history at the top of every one of my shows. Because you need to know and realize what it is instead of just being indoctrinated or what they would call educated. It's in the books, man. These are lies you're being told. Another thing, this is going to be controversial, but I mean controversy in HRap. If you look it up in the dictionary, look it up in the Urban Dictionary, say controversy, see HRap. But I personally feel Jim Crow did us a favor. When they relaxed the laws, again, when they relaxed the laws of Jim Crow segregation, that started eroding away at our community. Because look, at one point you got people like Annie Malone, Madam C.J. Walker, and people like that consistently building. Booker T. Washington built Tuskegee University. Madam C.J. Walker helped create FAMU. Look at the things that were happening throughout the country that were advantageous to people that look like me and you. Consequently, when we start buying into the nonsense, it started kicking us in our behind. Joe, we don't want segregation. Yes, you did, because when you had segregation, you had to live in a certain place, and then you had to have ownership and responsibility of that community. Now, you can go wherever you want to go, and your bright light is taken away from Microwaves kids, or taken away from Chris kids, or RC kids, because the bright light of Big Chris, when they see Big Chris ride up in a nice, cool car, where you work at, Mr. Chrisman? I work here. You can too. But when you live in other communities, your bright light enlighten their kids and them enlighten theirs. You don't have to agree. I'm cool with that. I've been living on the island for a long time, 50 years old. Somebody agreeing with me, it means as much as the next tree that fall in the middle of the forest. I'm not going to hear it. I'm not going to see it. Point blank, period. But Jim Crow segregation did that for you. Now, what you should have been fighting for, in my opinion and other opinions, Stokely Carmichael, Huey P. Newton, Fred Hampton, Booker T. Washington, W.B. Du Bois, just to name a few, should have been arguing for human rights. Because I don't need to live near you. I don't need any of that stuff. I just need the tax money that I pay into to be put back into my academics, to be put back into my community services, to be put back in my daycare centers and things of that nature. Because then I can fix me. So when people get upset about Jim Crow segregation, they, in my opinion, are barking up the wrong tree. Because, check this out. 1960, at the precipice of the civil rights movement, we're just getting in full swing. Over 900 elected officials throughout the United States of America. Our literacy rate is 89%. We own 80% of the businesses in our community. Bam! That don't sound so bad, does it? Since then, we got over 10,000 elected officials in the United States of America. We only own 3% of the businesses in our community. Property ownership is way down. And the literacy rate is at like 40%. Human rights is what you need to have. You don't need civil rights. Because civil, contrary to popular belief, civil is civilian rights. You shouldn't have to argue with people about that. If I want to be treated like a human being, I want to be treated like a human. I need human rights. Because when you are documented as a human being, everything that somebody does to you is illegal. And then the civilian part is taken care of. But we don't do that. Just to show you the further indoctrination of the nonsense. Again, this is going to be a bit controversial. And all you have to do is look it up in the library or do an in-depth Google search, because as I played on the show before, when you do a Google search, it just gives you the surface information or give you some nonsense. You got to do a deep dive into it. You got to go down the rabbit hole a little bit. You don't even know what year it is. Only reason you know what year it is because people who are less evolved than our ancestors told you that this is the year. This is a agreed upon year. Egyptians, they had a 12-month calendar, all months having 30 days. The year was 365 and 1/4 days. Every 5 years, they would have a leap year. I'm gonna say it again. The Egyptians, they used the sun, they used astrology to create a calendar where every month had 30 days. 365 and 1/4 days. After 5 years, you would have, after 4 years, you would have a leap year, and that's the concept of leap year. They were mathematically and scientifically superior to most people that walked the face of the earth during that time, and some people that walk on the face of the earth today. Now, the Greeks and the Romans said, That's why you have July and August. Those are Greek. Those are named after 2 Greek guys. And that's why your calendar is thrown off. That's why, see, the calendar that we follow today is based on a religious construct because you wanted to go into Christianity and you wanted to impose that rule of law upon everybody else. And you change things after people die off. Nobody questions it. And then, boom, bam, it's on. This is our thing. We created the calendar. We created gravity. We found America. We did everything you had to do. But that's not true. And it's happening all over again. So are we in 2020, or is that just an agreed upon year, or is that what you agreed upon at gunpoint? Because that's what the Crusades were all about. You're going to agree with me, or you're going to get your brains knocked out your head. So you can do it, or you can die. The reason I bring that up is you got your man 45, Orange Cheeto, Donald J. Trump, President Trump, yada, yada, yada. He just created a 1776 council to make sure the way he wants history to be told will be told. Because eventually people will die off and y'all gonna forget this and we gonna have history the way we want to have. And then you have a buffoon like Ben Carson create some type of lie. And you're going to have the Jason Whitlocks of the world and the Candace Owens of the world and all those suckers who be chasing up behind people for approval and acknowledgement. And they going to be, yup, I'm going to get my shot too. No, you're not. Because just like Ben Davis, you think because you're part of this construct, or you're allowed to speak in alignment with this construct, you're a part of it. If you don't believe me, all you have to do is ask yourself, this brother, one of the richest guys in America, one of the richest black guys in America, goes by the name of Herman Cain, went to a Trump rally, croaked due to, according to what they said, he croaked via coronavirus, and you have not heard one guy on the other side of the coronavirus ain't real side of the game. You haven't heard one of those dudes acknowledge that man's death. So were you a part of the machine, Herman, or were you just a pawn in the game? Sounds like you were a pawn in the game. And again, this is history repeating itself. Herbert Hoover, y'all know that's a former president. He's a president, if I'm not mistaken, in the 1800s. I'm going to look him up as I talk. Herbert Hoover was the 31st president of the United States of America. Exactly. I thought so. Herbert Hoover was born 1874, died 1964. He was the last president to execute as many people in a lame duck status as one Donald J. Trump. How does this pertain to you? Some of these guys are brothers. And guess what? Every one of these guys seem to be guilty of a heinous crime. One of them set somebody on fire in the midst of a carjacking, and one of them killed his daughter. So when I'm saying, hear what I'm saying, don't interpret what I'm saying. Don't see, I thought you was trying to say what I'm saying. Just hear what I'm saying. Listen, no, excuse me. Listen to what I'm saying. Don't just hear it.